Welcome. This is 80 Unplugged, a podcast featuring songwriters. Our goal is to feature artists from all different parts of their musical journey and dive into the story behind their creative process and their songs. I'm AD, a songwriter and music enthusiast, and with me today is a guest with an unforgettable voice, both in writing style and her singing. She hails from the mountains outside of Pittsburgh. It's the hippie of the hills, Alyssa Hankey.
Good to be here.
Good. So how are you today, Alyssa?
Doing good. I'm really excited to talk to you, and I played some songs, so that was cool.
What song are you performing today, and why did you choose it for the podcast?
I'm playing a song called West of the Ohio. I chose to play it because it's a newer song. I'm going to put on a new album that's coming out next year, and it's a song I haven't really performed much, so I just thought it'd be a good song to sing and talk about.
Okay, perfect. She's going to perform the song, and then we'll get into it.
Well, my people came here a long time ago, forged by fire and filled with smoke. They built their house up in these hills. They dug for coal and they worked for steel. Well, that ancient river runs deep and wide, and they never lived to see the other side. So I carry them with me everywhere I go, and all that settling down gave me a restless soul. You can't break a white horse that was meant to roam somewhere west of the Ohio. Well, this mountain chain, it builds a wall from the flatlanders to the western stars, where waters start down at the ford. In that city I've known since I was born. Well, here in the land of smokestacks, they carry their country upon their backs. So I carry them with me everywhere I go. Arizona, Colorado. You can't break a wild horse that was meant to roam somewhere west of the Ohio. Well, I'm out there running on the western wind, and I carry the light and all the sins. Oh, and misty there and all the blood that I bleed. So when I die, you bring this body back east. Throw my ashes in the river and set me free. And my soul is left to roam somewhere west of the Ohio.
That was an amazing performance. I really appreciated you coming out and singing that.
Thank you.
What inspired you to write this song?
I guess I was thinking about being, an artist in this area, and also like in a family of non-artist people. And I was trying to think about like, why am I the way I am? And I was just thinking, about the people that came before me and and their lives and how they kind of survived and how they didn't really have time to like feel. And I'm like, maybe somewhere down the line that catches up with somebody, and it's my job to feel what they couldn't feel and kind of honor what they didn't have time to feel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay.
That ties perfectly into my first question for
Okay.
you. You have described yourself as a sort of vessel for the songs you write. Could you share what that means and how that motivates you?
Like, I think songwriting is like just like a strange process because you're kind of pulling lyrics from the ether, and so like you, in a way, you don't know where it's coming from. You know, it just kind of, it happens right then and there, and it's hard to describe, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense either.
It made enough sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. A common way people describe you is as raw. I think that's because you write with your whole identity. I really appreciate that because our culture hasn't always highlighted the female perspective. Can you give your insight on the importance of sharing your own story, as well as the importance of hearing women's voices in music?
I think, like with music, for me, like it's a way to be heard, because I think in rooms you don't always feel like you have a voice, and so when you write a song, it's like it gives you time to process your own emotions and put it out in a way that, you know, people can listen to it, and then maybe it's catchy, and then I'm sorry, I like lost my train of thought.
No problem.
I'm like, I can't think of a good answer.
What are your thoughts on sharing the female perspective in music? And I'll share a little bit of maybe why I ask this. And I get the opportunity to talk to a female singer. I'm sorry, a female songwriter. And I haven't until now. And I've been going on my own personal journey of realizing kind of my own misogyny in a way. I was listening to a interview by Amy Ray of the Indigo Girls, and she was talking about how she like subconsciously had this this thought that she didn't, if someone were to ask her who inspired her musically, she felt like saying a male made her more legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
So in music, I feel like women are finally getting enough of a voice to just be there. And the truth is women have always been there, but it's like for some reason we as a culture diminish their presence.
Yeah, it's interesting because like a lot of my influences are male. Even, like singing. I the only woman I ever tried to like emulate as a singer is like Stevie Nicks, and like all of the women of country in the 90s, that's what I was raised on, and that was a huge presence too. So, but you, like you said, it was, you know, apart from those things, it's like you do feel like you know, like it's not pushed enough or something. Yeah, I don't know.
It's like I'd hate to say an afterthought, but it's like that girl, like that girl over there or something like that. Like,
well, there's a girl in the room, so that counts, you know, for something. Yeah.
Well, we'll just get into the lyric breakdown. So I'm going to read the lyrics, and then after I'm done reading them, if you could just talk about what inspired you, what narratively you think about them, and stuff like that. So the first section of the song goes, "My people came here a long time ago, forged in fire and filled with smoke. They built their house up in these hills. They dug for coal and they worked for steel. That ancient river runs deep and wide, and they never lived to see the other side."
So I think there's something interesting that happened, like when people from, you know, my family was from, you know, places like Ireland and Germany, and they kind of settled in Appalachia, and they never crossed over the Ohio. There's like a whole theory about that. And And so I was kind of like, generation after generation doing the same thing and never breaking away and seeing what else is out there and working these really intense jobs.
In this song and in songs like A Good Day's Work and They Used to Make Things Here, you reference manual labor and or industrial jobs. Why is it important to you to highlight the stories of the working class?
I think because they're overlooked and they've kind of lost their voice or didn't have a voice. And they're, for a good amount of time, carried the country and built the country. So it's giving a voice to people that didn't really have one or didn't feel like they could put their feelings into words, I guess.
How does it make you feel when you see like factories that used to employ lots of people empty?
Yeah, it's like, just like, it's almost like a ghost town, really. It's like a skeleton, like seeing a dinosaur or something.
Yeah. It's kind of depressing. Like,
yeah.
They used to make things here. I think that captures that feeling of like looking at something that used to be such a productive part of the local community, and now it's just like a big waste of space.
And our generation doesn't have any recollection of when that was, running or anything. So we rely on stories of our parents and grandparents, and like you have no idea what these towns looked like before, we came here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. And then the song goes, so I carry them with me everywhere I go. All that settling down gave me a restless soul. You can't break a wild horse that was meant to roam somewhere west of the Ohio.
I think that song is the chorus is kind of about just not really being at home in your own home. You don't feel like you belong, or you wonder what else is out there, and maybe you belong somewhere else, or you just want to explore something different,
So are you saying like you want to go past?
Right. Yeah. I think you're so accustomed to, settling down and having kids and, working a job and not really leaving the county that you live in. And I think when you're a creative type, it's like, what else is there? What else could I see? Who else could I meet? And it's just, like exploring a new frontier, I think.
When you say restless soul, I think that kind of resonated with me in a way, where when I hear your songs, there's like this air of like freedom and this like spirit of freedom in them. And I think that kind of ties hand in hand, like this restlessness and this want for freedom.
Yeah, I think too, like, generation after generation, you're doing the same thing. And eventually somebody's like, I can't take this anymore. I need to like go out and see something different, or just live my life on my own terms, and not be tied down to whatever obligations society makes you feel like you have to have on you.
Have you felt that about anything?
I think as a young girl, like you think, oh, I have to, have kids and I have to marry and I have to do all these things. And then, I think especially in the modern age, you kind of realize that that's not the case. You can, you're an adult and you can do whatever you want within reason,
Yeah.
So yeah, stuff like that or so yeah.
I think especially in this modern age where we're kind of, we as a society, the people of the society, we have this power that we've never had before with like independent music.
Right,
people
yeah.
can have a voice where they didn't, and we can film a podcast and
Right, you don't need a studio or something.
Yeah, and we can put it up with we can put it up in the same places that large companies put their materials up. So I think there is like a unique opportunity that we may not have had before.
Right.
You seem to have deep connections to your roots, where you're from, your family, and your culture. What aspects of your roots inspire you the most?
I guess there's a level of like resilience and togetherness that drives me, and virtue, I guess. Those kinds of things are what inspire me. Unconditional love and non-judgment, I guess. I don't know.
I feel like there is this air of like tangible achievement where like the cowboy hat song. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Cowboy hats.
Yeah.
I believe that's what the name of the song is. You kind of talk about how this man didn't deserve his kind of platform because he didn't earn it in a way. What are your thoughts on like how you earn things?
I guess I believe in like working hard, and that kind of creates more luck, I guess, if that makes sense. And it's weird whenever you see artists that just, they become famous by posting TikTok videos, and I'm out here playing 130, 150 shows a year, writing songs as often as I can, and just trying to put out music as often as I can. And it's kind of a weird world to be in when it comes to hard work, because you're like, does it even matter anymore in some cases?
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't feel like it sometimes.
Yeah. And there's always somebody pandering to a certain type of sound, and they're kind of betraying themselves rather than reaching deep into yourself. They're kind of like betraying who they are because they want to be like this person,
Well, we can go over the next section. The next section goes, this mountain chain, it builds a wall from the Flatlanders and the Western Stars. Her waters start down at the fork. In that city I've known since I was born. Here in the land of smokestacks, they carried their country upon their backs. So I carry them with me everywhere I go. Arizona, Colorado. You can't break a wild horse that was meant to roam. Somewhere west of the Ohio.
This mountain chain builds a wall is just kind of, it's like obviously a separation of the West and the Midwest is kind of what I was trying to visualize with that. And then Mountains of Western Stars, her waters start down at the fork in the city that I was born. I was just kind of being specific about where the Ohio forms, which is in Pittsburgh. And that was always kind of just like the city that we all knew, and the city that was close by. And it was almost like a place that was sought after. And then I think, here in the land of smokestacks, it's just kind of acknowledging the type of work that people did around here and how they built the country up. And it's kind of just like taking note of all of the work that, my ancestors did, and taking that with me wherever I go. It's like you can't take, the hills out of me, but you could take me out of the hills, I guess is kind of what I'm saying with that chunk that you just read.
Or you can take you out of the hills.
But you can't take these hills out of me,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah.
I like that. So you're kind of living out the maybe opportunity they never had.
Right. And, landscapes they never saw, or opportunity they never could imagine, just a legacy. I think it's also kind of like, it's almost like a love-hate relationship with where you're from. Like, you're kind of like, oh, I love it, but it's, there's some things I don't love about it, So, yeah.
Yeah. In this verse, you paint a clear picture. Any listener could close their eyes and see this scene. Being that you are not only a music artist, but also a visual artist, do you feel like these different mediums have any sort of connection?
I think they used to a lot when I was in college, and I'd be painting and writing songs at the same time. I would kind of be inspired by the same things, and it was more interconnected than it is now. I don't really do a lot of artwork today, but the way that I visualize when I write a song, it's very visual and it's almost like cinematic. So I guess I use a similar vision when I paint or when I, write a song, if that makes sense.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were talking earlier about how we both studied graphic design. In one of my foundational courses, I took like a drawing class, and the idea of like working a drawing from one stage to the next stage to the next stage, instead of like making each piece perfect, I apply to like everything in my life. So like especially to songs, not every line has to be perfect before you move on. You can always go back. Is there any like tips or techniques that cross over from like and I know you said that you haven't been doing like the visual art lately, but maybe in the past, have you ever had like techniques or ideas or what's the word for it, theories cross over?
I think, when you get an idea for a song, it kind of starts like a sketch, like where you want to go with it. And then it's just a matter of, just keep tightening up, like you were saying, with taking the sketch and building the layers. And I think, building the layers is, writing the lyrics, and sometimes you're trading out different lines and different rhyme schemes and just trying to figure it out like a painting almost.
So we'll get into the next line, and which is the end of the song, and the lyrics go. I'm out there running on the western wind. I carry the light and all the sin. They're still there in all the blood I bleed. So when I die, bring my body back east. Throw my ashes in the river and set me free. And my soul is left to roam somewhere west of the Ohio.
So carry the light and all the sins, or I'm out there running on the western wind. So you're out there exploring where, your people haven't went. I carry the light and I carry the sins. It was kind of like an idea I had where, you don't really know your ancestors. You just know who they are on paper, but you don't know, maybe they weren't great. Maybe they did some bad things, or maybe they're really great. And so it's just kind of trying to explain like that there's light and dark within me and my ancestors, everybody.
I actually, that line kind of stuck out to me too. Do you feel like in a way the maybe wrong deeds and right deeds have impacted you? Like do you like, there's like, is there a generational inheritance of it or something?
Yeah, that's what I think I'm trying to explore in the whole song. It's like, because I feel like with myself, I've always been like sensitive, and like there's always been like a dark introspective side to me, and also kind of like a goofy funny side. And you're just like, why do like I always feel like I feel a lot more than the people around me, and you just wonder why that is, and maybe it was imprinted on your DNA or somehow.
You're very empathetic.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, tear up at movies, books, whatever.
I can sympathize.
Yeah.
So you bring this song to a close. The story has an ending. A lot of your songs have complete storylines. Like in the song Motel Room and Remington John, there are vivid scenes and characters with personalities and past. You said the word cinematic earlier, and I think your songs play out like a movie sometimes.
Cool. That's the way I visualize. So that's, I guess, that I'm doing my job.
You're doing your job.
Yep.
What inspires you to create like worlds and characters like these? If you create the characters, what inspires this?
I think I love movies. I love books, and I think also being an empath, you just start like being inspired by the people around you too. And I think, like, for instance, you mentioned Motel Room. I wrote that song about a friend of mine's experience with her husband that just up and left her. And I think I just take just an ordinary story and I just kind of give it a lot of creative liberties and make it my own. And that's just the way I kind of see it. I guess I'm kind of a screenwriter in a way. Yeah.
That song, like when I was listening to it, it very vividly, like you could close your eyes and like imagine each of the characters. And I like how you have like these little, like, they almost feel a little awkward, but they're still like they're like the man and the high school sweetheart. It's like they're a little bit like uneasy with each other, but at the same time they're like they like want to do this, like,
yeah, they're like yeah.
Or maybe that was just me, like,
or it seemed like a good idea, and now we're in a motel room and liquored up, and maybe it wasn't a good idea.
All the missed calls. And,
yeah.
But I just really like that. When you write a song, or when you write songs like these, how are they nonfiction? Are they like, where do you get these storylines from? Which you mentioned it a little bit, but.
Yeah, I think it always comes from like a germ of truth, and then you just kind of grow it out. You know, with Motel Room, I'm trying to think of another one that I have. There's another one that'll be on my new album. It's called The Pines. And the idea came to me from my sister-in-law, who she comes from like a family of farmers, and her grandfather, will take sick animals out to the pines and shoot them. And so I got this really dark story about this guy that's like, it starts off, he takes his dog out because it has rabies, so he takes it out to shoot it. And then he finds out his wife is cheating on him with his brother, so he takes her out. And he goes to find his brother, or he brings his brother over to the house and kills his brother. So it's just like stuff like that. And then, I think, like I said, I guess I'm attracted to dark subject matter, and that's the way I seem to play it out for some reason. It's dark or sinister to some degree. I don't know.
In like the song, is Leon, the song Leon, he's a veteran, right?
Yeah, sure.
And sure, no, he's not.
Yeah, he is. I guess. Yeah, he's made up, but yeah.
Well, I'm talking like, I don't know. If I was talking about a movie, I would say that like they're real.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So I guess I was just saying it like that. But you kind of talk a lot about the effect of Vietnam in a way, and that war, like in 1968 in Remington, John, if I'm remembering correctly, and in this, what's your fascination there?
I think I read the book Born on the 4th of July, and then I'm a big listener of like Bruce Springsteen and John Prine, and I think writing those 3 songs in particular, I just was inspired by the book and those songwriters, and I've always had a fascination with that time, I think, because it was so turbulent, there was so much going on, and I think I saw the correlation to then and now, with the way things are today. It's very polarized and kind of scary, and 1968 was very similar to that. I mean, obviously it was a different time, but, very, on edge and scary.
Yeah. Cautionary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same shit, different day, in a way.
That's funny. Well, it's not funny, but it's something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're kind of coming to the end. I wanted to start asking this question to everyone that comes on to the podcast, because a lot of the people that listen to this podcast are musicians themselves. So what advice would you have for other songwriters?
I would say just keep doing it, and try to write as much as you can, and also find your own voice. Don't try to, I think when you first start out, you try to write like your favorite artist, but I think it's important to know who you are and, dig deep within yourself. I would say that's probably the biggest thing for me.
You have an album coming out next year. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it'll be 10 songs. It'll be with my band that I play with. It'll be a little more country influenced. It's kind of like my love letter to Western Pennsylvania. So that's a lot of different characters and themes that I wanted to, I don't know.
I think a love letter to Western Pennsylvania sounds beautiful. And I think the songs that I have heard from, stalking you on YouTube and Spotify, it'll be a well-written love letter.
Good, hopefully, yeah.
Of course, everything, all of the links to find Alyssa will be linked in the description, and go over to our website to check out our article blog post. We're working with an amazing writer to do little articles on our website. So there'll be a full article about Alyssa and our time together, and all of her links and stuff in the description, but also on the blog post. So please check that out. Thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was so awesome to hear you live.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And it was great to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
And thank you for tuning in. If you've enjoyed our podcast, check us out on our social media channels. You can also go to our website for more information about the podcast, the guest, and to be a guest on this podcast. Thank you for listening.